Words of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says often man is preoccupied with human rules and forgets the inner law. The sage is never alone. He bears in himself the Lord of all things. With my love and blessing, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother from the collective works of our Divine Mother, other editions, question and answers of November, page 10, continuation. Question, sweet mother. Sri Aurobindo writes, one must not enter on this path for vaster and more arduous than most ways of yoga unless one is sure of the psychic call and of one's readiness to go through the end. From Lights on Yoga, page 6. For this, our Divine Mother says, one can have a very good will, a fife directed towards a divine realization, a kind of self-consecration, more or less superficial to a divine work, but between that and doing yoga, there is a great difference. To do Sri Aurobindo's yoga means to ask for an integral transformation, to have one single aim in life so that nothing else exists except that. When you say, I want to do yoga, you must know what you've decided upon. To all who come to me, want to enter on this path, I say, unless I'm absolutely sure of them, because it is written in their destiny that they have come for that, I say always think over, be quite sure that this is for you, or this is what you want, and that you have the inner certainty that it is for this purpose you have come upon earth.
They are waiting for the pilgrim, heaven-bound soul, holding the thousand keys of the beyond. They proffered their knowledge to the climbing mind and filled the life with thought's immensity.
Our Divine Mother continues to say, for it is not an easy path. Time is needed, patience is needed, much endurance and much perseverance and courage and indefatigable goodwill. If you feel capable of having these qualities, then start on the way. But once you have started, it is finished. You do not fall back. You must go to the end. That is why one must take a resolution knowing fully what he is doing. As soon as you have set your foot on the path, everything changes within you. Outwardly, the condition remains similar to those of others, but within there is a great difference. A consciousness is there that works constantly to correct your position, places in the light the obstacles that impede or stop your progress, causes you to get, so to say, a knock on your nose against your own error and blindness. There is a kind of absoluteness in the consciousness which does not allow you to deviate from the path. But it is so only for those who have decided to do the yoga. Our Divine Mother says, for others, the consciousness acts like a light, a knowledge, a protection, a force of progress so that they may reach the maximum of their capacities, grow as far as possible in the atmosphere, as favorable as possible, leaving them completely free in their choice. All of you here, my children, says our Divine Mother, All of you here, my children, you live in an exceptional liberty. Outwardly, there are a few petty limitations because you are numerous and you have not the entire earth at your disposal. You must submit to some discipline to a certain extent so that there may not be too much disorder. But within yourself, you live in a marvelous liberty. There are no social or moral or intellectual compulsion, no principles even. Only a light is there. Only a light is there. If you wish to profit by it, you profit. If you do not wish to profit by it, you are free not to profit. But the day you have made a choice, but the day you have made your choice and you have made it in all sincerity, when you have felt within you a radical decision, then it is a different issue. Then it is different. There is the light and the way to follow all straight. There is no turning aside. Yoga is not a joke. When you choose it, you must know what you do. Once you have chosen it, you must stick to it. You have no right to waver. You must go through. All that I ask of those who do not take up yoga is the will to do their best, an effort towards progress, and the desire to be in life something better than what ordinary humanity is. You have grown up, you have developed under conditions exceptionally luminous, conscious, harmonious, and full of goodwill.
Of the ascending epiphany, world times enjoyers, favorites of world bliss, creators of matter by its stress of mind, whose subtle thoughts support unconscious life and guide the fountain of both events, stood there a race of young, keen-visioned gods, king children born on wisdom's early plane, taught in her school world-making's mystic play.
In response to such conditions, to be in the world, an expression of this light, this harmony, this goodwill. Our Divine Mother says to do this yoga, the yoga of transformation, which is the most arduous of all things, is possible only if you feel that you have come here for that. I mean, here upon earth, that for you nothing else is worth doing, then this is the very reason of your existence. Even if you have to labor, suffer, struggle, it is of no importance, for you want that realization and nothing else. Once you have set your foot on the path of yoga, you must have an iron resolution and walk straight to the goal at any cost. Next question, sweet mother. When one stops on the way, one falls back. Is it for the whole of the present life? For this, our Divine Mother says, there are many different cases, and that depends upon the nature of the falling back. If it is a small falling back, a small stoppage, you can straight and start it again. But it is 10 times more difficult than before. Why? Because it is like that. because you have accumulated the obstacles in you by your slackness and your weakness. All the difficulties that you meet and that you have to conquer are so many spiritual examinations which you must pass. If you fail in your examination, the next one will become much more difficult. It is a general occult law and none can escape it. Note that under the present conditions, you are not informed beforehand. That makes it more difficult to pass the examination. In old times, the aspirants were told, now prepare yourself, you have now to go through the terrible trials. A man forewarned is worth 10 men, they say. One knew that it was a trial, and that made it much easier. At present, it is life itself, the very day, the very circumstances of the day that are the trials that one has to pass. Some feel instinctively that they are in front of a decision that is to be taken, a special effort that is to be made. They make this effort within themselves and they take the step. They have then a much greater force to meet the next trial. Our Divine Mother says, on the other hand, if you're blind, ignorant, stupid, or of bad will, and instead of accepting the trial that presents itself, you revolt and refuse, then you have failed in your exam. On the next occasion, you will have not only to put an effort to surmount the obstacle, you have also to repair the harm you have done to yourself, and naturally, it will be much more difficult. It is better to go forward at any cost and endeavor not to stop too often on the way, for it is easier to continue even if it is hard than to begin again once you stop. When you are at a critical moment of your self development and when it is absolutely necessary for you to surmount the obstacle in order to advance,
Sublimer and more daring soar to the wide summit of the triple stairs. Bare steps climbed up like glowing rocks of gold, burning their way to pure absolute sky.
Our Divine Mother says, when you are at a critical moment of your self development and when it is absolutely necessary for you to surmount the obstacle in order to advance, then there are always two possibilities. Take the forward step and immediately you make a tremendous progress. Otherwise, you leave it alone, and then there happens more than a stoppage, even more than a falling back. It may be a serious downfall into a precipice, and there are falls from which one cannot rise again. In that case, it is 1/5 lost. Yet, even in such extreme cases, if there is somewhere in the being besides the part that was waved and fallen, a burning flame, and if one is ready for everything, for whatever suffering, whatever endeavor, whatever sacrifice possible, to mend what one has done, to climb back from the bottom of the precipice and find again the way, one can do it. That flame is capable of calling down the grace. That flame, says our Divine Mother, is capable of calling down the grace. And with grace, nothing is impossible. But the flame must be truly mighty, for when one is down at the bottom of the pit, it is not easy to get out of it. If you abandon the path, it is difficult even to find it again. What is strange is that if you leave it, you lose it. There are legends to that effect in all countries of people who have abandoned the path and then have been seeking it again and have never regained. It is as if it has vanished. When you are on the path, do not leave it. Before you take it, you have the chance to hesitate as long as you like. But as soon as you've taken it, it is finished. Do not leave it anymore, for that has consequences that may extend even to several lives, and it is extremely grave. Question, sweet mother, how to unite one's will with the divine's will? For this, our divine mother says, first of all, you must will it. Next,
And when you are
continue
in
to will
contact
it.
with
Always
it, you
continue.
must
Never
fight
waver
it
when there are
inseparably. That is to
difficulties.
say,
Continue
you must
till
be
you
unified
succeed.
in your
That
whole
is all.
being, and a few other
in a
things are
single
necessary.
will. For example,
the
not to be
unified will
egoistic,
alone is
not to have a
capable of
small, narrow
identifying
mind,
itself
not to
with
five in
the
one's
divine
preferences.
will. Not to
It
have
appears
desires,
there
not to have
has
mental
been some
opinions,
misunderstanding in the
etc.
matter.
It is a
What
long
I told you
process,
about
but
the supramental
because one must
manifestation,
change
says our
the
divine
ordinary
mother,
nature,
when I
it is
compared it with the
necessary.
appearance of man
Break
upon
all
earth,
mental limits,
reminded
break
you
all
that it
vital
must have
desires,
taken
break a physical
almost a million
preference.
years for the human
After
race
that,
to appear.
you can hope
I
to be
said
in
that
contact with the
without
divine
doubt
will.
it would be at least 1,000 years for the supramental race to appear on earth. But I did not think it is necessary to recall what Sri Aurobindo has written on the subject of intermediary realization of a higher superhuman race that would cease to be animal in order to be a superhuman. Sri Aurobindo has told us that this possibility is realizable now and that they who fulfill the necessary conditions are assured of a supramentalization sufficient enough to secure a radical transformation of their body that would be free from all animal bondage and allow them to prolong their life indefinitely. It goes without saying that the manifestation of the supramental force, far from abolishing this possibility, makes it much more real and tangible. The only requirement then is to fulfill the necessary conditions which Sri Aurobindo has described in all his teachings on the integral yoga, says our Divine Mother.
At each pace of the journey marvelous, a new degree of wonder and of bliss, a new rung formed in being's mighty stair, a great wide step, trembling with the jeweled fire, as if a burning spirit quivered there, upholding with his flame